What's going on, everybody? It's Freedo here for Your Overwatch. This time, I'm going to be giving you a Pharah guide. Pharah is one of my favorite characters in the entirety of Overwatch, but she isn't always in a playable state. And I honestly couldn't make this video in the most recent patch meta, with McCree's range being good, but even when they pulled back his range, Discord Orb was 50%, completely nullifying her ability to be out in the open in the sky. But now, with the PTR changes, the hitboxes are reverted back to their larger, more forgiving nature. We actually have a video on this if you want to know our opinions. I think we're mostly in agreement that we prefer the hitboxes to be a bit more lenient because it's easier to balance, it works better with lag, and it's difficult enough to play projectile characters as it is. Perhaps if they want to go with the smaller hitbox playstyle, maybe they'll just have to speed up the projectiles so they're more viable, but we'll have to see that in future. But for the most part, with all of the changes coming in, Zen nerf, hitbox is bigger, as well as Mercy being better, Pharah is very likely to come back in the meta in a big way. Multiple aspects of Pharah's kit happen simultaneously, so it's difficult for me to pick apart each aspect of what she can do because it all happens in unison. There is her movement and her rocket placement. Now, I say the word placement and not aim because it's important to understand how projectiles work. If Pharah is your first projectile character, you might be taken aback with the skill set that is required to play it. When you aim a rocket, you're not so much aiming it at the character themselves. You can if they're not moving, but typically they're going to be moving. And because of that, you have to lead it to where they're going. And with the rocket travel time at medium range, that's typically about 1 second. Because if you have to predict more than about a second of rocket travel time, then they could change their movement pattern. And that's something that happens to me quite often, that it's easy to track a player who is doing sort of the common route. Like if there's a health pack they're going to and you want to shoot where they're going to be, you can shoot at the health pack. But if they fake you out or have bad movement or make a bad decision, it might actually surprise you, or might seemingly be a bad decision, and you might end up missing because of that. Because of these factors, it's difficult to get really, really high accuracy with Pharah. Because if you are, you're probably just shooting at big targets and tanks, which isn't necessarily what you want to do. So your main focus shouldn't be to just maximize your accuracy, but instead to maximize the impact of your damage. This goes hand in hand with the video I made about trash damage and the gold medal fallacy. Those videos you should definitely check out and give context to this, which isn't to say necessarily that dealing bulk damage to soften targets up is a bad thing. It's just not as valuable as being able to pick off entirely a squishy target. It's that simple. Tanks are meant to be absorbing damage in the front line, so if you are cracking Reinhardt shields or whittling down tanks, it is helpful, but the numerical amount of damage you're doing shouldn't be impressive to you. As Pharah, if you're playing that way, you should have gold damage. Don't use that as a defense to say you're playing well. You know if you're playing well is if you're hitting the hard shots. Now, I like to think of it as two different modes. As I'm playing Pharah, either I'm going for the reliable shots, or I'm threading the needle to carefully target a specific character on the other team. Two completely different modes of firing, but something you're going to have to decide to do from second to second. Because in reality, only so many shots are going to be available to you on your screen at any given time. Because as you play Pharah, you'll notice things are going to start shooting back at you. So you have to be able to stay alive, more important than anything. You need to take the shots that are there, try to pick off the best targets you can, and keep yourself alive all at the same time in one free-flowing process. Now, the best way to manage that is to try to shoot constantly, but I would also advise taking your time and not missing. Pro players can probably just hold down that trigger and hit every single target in timing no matter what. Take your time with Pharah. Don't overshoot, because if you're constantly reloading in between not hitting shots, you're going to be sucking up a lot of value and wasting a lot of time in the team fight. This next clip I'm going to show you is on King of the Hill, and it's going to show you a good example of firing between the two types of modes. When you get into a poke battle like this, no reason to fear. It's okay to be doing more or less trash damage at range while you wait for an opening, but I look to see if I can try to dive the Lucio and get a shot in. I obviously miss, unfortunately, but I use my movement to get out. Ultimately, even taking those risks is good enough and the start of good play. As you practice more and more, you're going to more reliably hit those shots, but it's important to know that it is your job as a DPS carry type position to eventually get better at that role. If you can find and single out the Lucio, do so. It's likely that most of the heroes on your team aren't going to have the mobility options that you do, so it's very important that you don't tunnel vision on the first target you see. You have to be good at picking apart the team comp of the other team and finding the key target in the big mass of the things going on. Of course, we've recently done a video on focus fire, but I think we may even want to make another one with examples of target prioritization. Look out for that coming, but a quick lesson in this concept is that 1, you want to go for whatever's injured. 2, if you can, go for the healers because they're going to keep the rest of the team alive and make it harder for you to get any kills anyway. Or if a character's simply out of position or diving your own team, you can protect them. As Pharah, you're going to have to quickly be making these decisions as you're up in the air, as the general of the battlefield, the queen DPS. A lot rides on your shoulders, but don't be afraid. With practice, you can do it. Now here's an example of a questionable ultimate from me. I have a lot of beef with Pharah's ultimate. I think it is the hardest ultimate to utilize in the entire game right now. When the game came out, sure, I got plenty of cool clips that I put at the beginning of this video, wiping the enemy team as they cluelessly got barraged down. Now, as soon as they hear justice reigns from above, you don't get to complete the sentence before you get shot. My suggestion is hook up with an amazing Zarya player, try to combo the ult with a sound barrier or a transcendence to keep you alive, because lacking your ability to move while ulting makes it feel like a massive waste of time for me in most of my games. I'm sure pro players have the teamwork and coordination to keep their Pharah alive when she ults, but it seems like it never happens for me. And a big problem with her ultimate is that it doesn't quickly kill the thing in front of it unless you're right on top of them. So if they're in any sort of cover, the big spread of the rockets you're shooting out won't melt the thing instantly, and they'll have a chance to shoot back at you. Whereas Reaper's ult, he can drop on top of somebody, rip them down, and eat their souls to sustain his own life. Pharah is the definition of a glass cannon while ulting, and a lot of the times it feels like I would be better to still just fly around shooting my regular rockets than ulting. I don't think it necessarily needs a buff, I just think this is something you're going to have to look out for when trying to use Pharah. You have to take some sort of cheeky space, you have to be off at some weird angle, catching them out of position. If you get off an ult without comboing it perfectly with your own team, it's going to require the enemy team to make a mistake. And as you go up the ranks and play against better and better players, those are going to be harder to come by. Now, I probably could make an entirely separate video on Pharah's movement alone, but I do want to cover it in the last moments of this video here. The number one thing to learn is how to utilize her concussion blast to propel her across the map, because when she's hovering in air, she's a very easy target. Now, it is important to keep your aerial advantage oftentimes because it's out of the way of the main attack of the fight, which can cause troubles for the other team. But it isn't good enough to simply just fly in the air constantly, because that also might just make trouble for you if the other team can focus you down easily. Use Pharah's movement capabilities to take and hold positions purposefully. Much like Genji, Pharah can surprise the enemy team by quickly being somewhere else. Genji can swift strike through an entire team and all of a sudden be behind them, whereas Pharah can be lobbing, spamming rockets from one position, then quickly boost off into another, testing your opponent's abilities to react to what you're doing. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I've been Freedo for Your Overwatch. If you did enjoy, please hit the like button. It really does help us out. Subscribe for more content we upload each and every day. That's been it for me. I've been Freedo for Your Overwatch. Play nice, play Pharah.